Welcome, everyone. I'm going to be talking about a campaign that I've been involved in for many years now. For those who don't know me, I've been a nurse for 53 years and a nurse educator for 49. And when I tell my students, they say, "Would you start in kindergarten?" I say, "No, I'll be 75 in May and I'm still teaching until one of you steps up and becomes an educator. I can't retire again." But I do love teaching. That's what keeps me from developing, hopefully, dementia. Because I tell them, if you don't keep using your brain, it will start to slow down. Okay, I was in the Army Nurse Corps for 22 years, and I've been a Red Cross nurse since 1974, joined both in that period of time. I'm a Vietnam vet, and I got injured in Desert Storm. That's why you see me with a walker, but my head still works, so I can still teach. Okay. So I'm a retired lieutenant colonel, and I absolutely loved it. If any of you have thought about the military, best thing I ever did. So this is a campaign that I'm going to share with you. It's called the Have You Ever Served? When I got inducted into the American Academy of Nursing, I joined the expert panel on this campaign, and it's designed to teach every healthcare provider and every veteran in the country about all the diseases they are at risk for based on military exposures. We're now seeing the same diseases in firefighters as we see in the burn pits in the Middle East. And how about police and Red Cross at a fire without a mask? Okay. And this brochure says things you want to ask every client, like when did you serve, which branch, what did you do, were you deployed to a hostile or combat area, and did you experience enemy fire or see combat or witness casualties, because that can add to your PTSD risks. We also find out more about their history. Were you wounded, injured, hospitalized? Did you participate in any experimental projects or tests? For instance, my brother was in the Navy, and he was a submariner, and they used to expose submariners to nasopharyngeal radium treatment for who knows why. Were you exposed to noise or explosives? You've probably heard the campaign about the earplugs lawsuits because they're not working. Explosives, all kinds of IEDs. Were you exposed to any of these things, chemicals, gases, demolition, or other substances? And by the way, we're still, as I said, still seeing burn pit type of injuries in firefighters. So if you get near any smoke, you're at risk. So be aware, even if civilians out there, they're having a fire in your area. And then we also ask if you ever used the VA for health care, when was your last visit? And so I'm not going to go through every word of this because I brought about 100 of these if anybody would like to take one. And as healthcare providers, keep it with you. They have now given permission to go to the website, haveyoueverserved.com, and download the PDF. I've been paying for these so I can hand them out, but you can now get them maybe on a website or hand them out. And we see a lot of homeless veterans. I went to an event last night. The mayor of Glendale here is starting a housing village for veterans in Glendale. So that's a campaign you might get involved in. And then we go and ask for different questions on this brochure, our post-traumatic stress, and again, I won't go through the details. Suicide risk, all these symptoms. And this isn't just military, obviously, it can happen to anyone. Military sexual trauma. I was actually approached by, when my first annual training at Fort Sam Houston, a guy said, "Hey, want to fool around?" I said, "I'm married. I just got married a month before that." He said, "So am I." I said, "No." He said, "I'll jump off the roof of that building." I said, "Go ahead." And he never bothered me again. But not everybody is that outgoing and say, "No, I'm not going to do it." I've been approached by commanders. That's how prevalent that is in the military. Blast, concussion, traumatic brain injury. We see a lot of those injuries in the military. And I get my care at the VA here, so I see a lot of them when I get my personal care. Now we go into all the risks. This is the World War II, different areas where they had the radiation. You know, here in Arizona and New Mexico, where they were doing experiments to create the atom bomb, people were exposed. They had the soldiers go out there with sunglasses on and stand on a hill and watch the bomb go off and wonder why they got exposed to radiation. So that's some of the crazy experiments. High risk for cancer from Agent Orange. I don't know if people are aware, they use Agent Orange here in Arizona. Not the doses of Vietnam, but it's used. And what about our migrant workers on those fields? Camp Lejeune, you've probably heard all the commercials about Camp Lejeune water. Every single military base in the world has exposures. I grew up on a dirt road in Ohio where we had well water, and I was 15 miles from a military base and a steel mill. Every house on our dirt road had pancreatic cancer. Both younger sisters died of it. My brothers and I moved away in our early 20s. We're still here. But every single house. So everybody lived near Luke Air Force Base. They had to give out water because of the firefighting foam. So every base. Hamp-Lejeune just has more lawyers. Vietnam, hepatitis C. If you had any blood transfusion before 1992, high risk for hepatitis C and all of the ways you can spread that. Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, the burn pits, and I mentioned about the firefighters and anybody exposed. So I've been handing this out to fire captains and police chiefs and anybody I see. Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was deployed to Desert Shield and Storm. That's where I got injured. They have something called the Gulf War Syndrome, and you can see the symptoms here. Desert Shield, Desert Storm in Bosnia, Afghanistan, they were exposed to depleted uranium, the heavy metal toxicity. And I don't know if you're aware that the top fourth of Arizona also has uranium in the soil, high risk for cancer for our people that live in that area. Infectious diseases, malaria, typhoid fever, hepatitis. Leishmaniasis is caused by the sand fleas. Tuberculosis, rabies. And if you have other questions about this campaign, you will get a copy of the pocket card, and feel free to go onto the website and get permission to download it and then share it with colleagues, students. I try to share this with everyone. I teach community health, disaster nursing. I've helped train 20,000 nursing students in the country how to help in Red Cross shelters, and I'm still doing that.